Hello, this is Todd Shank from Premier FPL doing the Game Week 19 Fantasy Premier League tips here. Um, so I'm going to try to keep this short. Don't have a whole lot of time today. Been pretty busy with work, so hoping to get this out so you can get your team set for this afternoon. So first up, make sure that you have your team set by the Game Week 19 deadline is today at what is that, 6:45, which would be UK time. So over here in the States, that would be about 1:45. So that's when I need to make sure mine is set by. Anyway, so for Game Week 19, I'm going to be looking at dropping high price forwards. What kind of formation looking at moving ahead here? 4-5-1, 3-5-2 are kind of two options that I've been looking at, as well as building a midfield scoring machine, and then finishing off with taking a hit this week. All right, so starting out, the forwards for this season. Now, this is one of the things I've heard on several other podcasts for this week, and I'm considering doing it. So looking at my current team, I do have Kane in there, and I am thinking that I am going to be dropping him. I would leave it up to you whether you feel like that's worth doing for yourself, but I'm recommending dropping Kane. The other thing here is Morata will be out this match due to his picking up 5 yellow cards after his scoring celebration yellow card during their EFL Cup match earlier this week. So he is out this weekend. Should be back for Boxing Day fixtures, but yeah. So Morata, Lukaku is back to. I mean, yeah, he scored 2 in his last 2 matches, but overall, he's not really been producing all that well. Same with Kane, and with their price tags where they're at, it's hard to really promote them. With prices that high, I really feel like you need to be scoring at least a goal every other game. And this year's forwards just really aren't producing in that sort of form. Rooney is one to consider. 3 goals in his last 3 matches and 6 in the last 5, as you can see here. Also picked up a couple assists in that time, so he's really been in form recently, basically since Allardyce took over there. So he's actually one that I'm considering looking at. If you look here, bring up my fixtures planner. Everton, I do need to update this. So Everton play Chelsea at home. It's an interesting match. We'll see how they do. Then they have a couple favorable fixtures before Manchester United. So in there, Rooney could definitely be continuing to produce. If we would sort this by all players, as you can see, Kane here is the only one in the top 10 that's a forward. Yeah, just want to make sure I got that right. Dennis, Lukaku, and Rooney, and then before you drop down here to Morata and Aguero. Now thinking about their value overall, I just don't see the value in picking up forwards. I mean, even if you rank them by their own value for the season, I mean, yeah, you have the goalkeepers up there at the top, but otherwise, you don't see forwards anywhere in there. Now, what I'm thinking that I'm going to be doing is, I mean, I'm definitely doing it, is moving more towards building for a 3-5-2 or a 4-5-1 formation moving ahead. So this then leads into building the midfield scoring machine. Currently have Sterling, Hazard, and Salah, 3 of the top scoring players this season. So Salah, Sterling, Hazard, he isn't up there yet, but he's started to pick up in recent weeks, and I think that they have some good games coming up here that I think that he will continue to be scoring and getting goals, especially now with Morata out this weekend. I'm actually thinking about sticking the captain on Hazard. It's kind of a toss-up between him or Salah going up against Arsenal that, they still have a fairly shaky defense, and Liverpool continue to score. Um, One player I did hear about earlier this week is Fernandinho. He's, certainly a possibility. And that does kind of leave questions about forwards. Calvert-Lewin is starting to get picked up here by a lot more teams. Diouf is one. He's kind of hit or miss. I have him in my team. I don't know what really to do with him, to be honest. You can go a little higher, and Firmino or Vardy are good picks, but Rooney is certainly one to look at, starting to pick up his form lately and scoring goals. Another one to think about is Charlie Austin. The only issue with him really is the rotation threat, since it doesn't seem to be starting every match. You want to go more differential, you could go with Depoitre. Taking a guess there on his name. Scored 2 goals in the last 2 matches. And again, another issue there is that he's not been playing full 90 minutes lately. Huddersfield does tend to rotate players, so kind of taking a risk with him, but only 2.1% ownership, and at 5.3 is a good pick there. In the past, I have shouted out for Okazaki. You have Austin down here. Chris Wood is another one, 1.6% ownership. Might be a good one to go with. And Glenn Murray for Brighton as well. All of them are there in that, under 3% ownership. So looking at those as far as differential picks, those would be some good ones to go with. Calvert-Lewin is outside of that, well outside of the 5% that I usually like to look at as far as a differential goes. And even Diouf is outside of that 5%. So that kind of brings me to my team, and at this point I feel like the only real way to drop Kane is to go ahead and take a hit. Now previously I'd said that I didn't want to take any hits, but I'm starting to rethink that in this past week, because looking ahead here, we have game week 19 this weekend. Game week 20 starts Tuesday through Thursday and is then quickly followed by Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday. I have all those dates right. Yeah, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday through Wednesday matches here. Thursday with the double game week for Tottenham. I know Tottenham have that double game week, and dropping Kane seems like a risky move, but I want to take it primarily because of the fact that in past years they do tend to rotate for that second set of matches there. So yeah, and again, 12.8, that's too much for a forward who is not even the leading goal scorer for the season. Yes, he scores braces here and there, but again, he needs to be scoring more than just the 2 goals in his last 4 matches here for me. Again, that's just for me. Salah is definitely a better pick, and I feel like you can find better value in the midfield. So one of the things that I am considering doing is clearing out some of these players. Femenia is supposed to be coming back Boxing Day, and Ward, again, picked up that injury. I really don't want to drop him, so I'm leaning more towards dropping Femenia here, dropping Carroll. May still stick with Femenia and go with a 3-5-2. It's just going to be a matter of who I replace Kane here with. What I'm really considering doing is dropping Carroll and looking to bring in somebody like Riyad Mahrez, maybe even Coutinho. The problem with Coutinho is that he is being rotated. I still feel like Sanchez at 11.8 is too much for me. Even Ozil 9.3 is a little bit too much considering how he's playing. I do see Shaqiri is up here. He is one that I would say is definitely a good one to look at picking up. 9.6% ownership is a little bit high, but it's also under 10%, which is a good place to be when you're bringing in players and trying to win your mini leagues here. Gross is still getting points. I did drop him, and then he ends up getting the 3 points. I think that was what for their clean sheet in midweek, early last week. I mean, um, but yeah, even somebody like a David Silva, going back to him. Now the issue there is whether or not he's going to play. Um, Hard to say. So yeah, Sun is another one that might be a good look at. Now, the two teams that I'm thinking about building on are Crystal Palace and West Ham. Crystal Palace, Zaha, thinking about slotting him in there. One of the issues is their forwards. There's not a whole lot to look at there. Benteke out. um, so that is actually a good reason to go with Zaha. So I'm actually thinking about bringing in Zaha and Loftus-Cheek. Richarlison has really fallen off lately. His 6 points here is the most in his last 5 game weeks there, and that's also been a time where Watford has really dropped off. They're not looking like the threat that they were before, picking up a lot of red cards. Just looking kind of nasty right now. So thinking about bringing in Loftus-Cheek and Zaha, dropping Carroll and Richarlison. That would really solidify my midfield there, get some good points. The other one that I'm actually considering bringing in, I might actually use my my free transfer for Boxing Day matches, is Manuel Lanzini. Yeah, he is out until Boxing Day because of his dive, but he has been pretty good points, and West Ham is the other team that I'm thinking about building on here. At least while they're doing well here. Who knows when it's going to drop off again. Or maybe it won't drop off. Maybe they will continue to be solid and stabilize themselves here for the rest of this season. But thinking about bringing him in. Sacco is one possibly up front to slot in there in my Kane shuffle here. So my plan really is, I'm thinking about dropping Carroll and Richarlison. I might even bring in Lanzini for this week and do more of like a 4-4-2 for this weekend. I really do think I need to look a little bit more at the forwards here. Might go with Calvert-Lewin. See if he can get a goal here against Chelsea this weekend, but they do have some decent fixtures coming up, and he has been getting playing time recently. Another one, like I said, to consider is Fernandinho for Man City. He's been more consistent than Carroll, and he's only, I think, 5.1, so that's only 8.8 more to get him in there. And he has been starting. He is going to be getting you solid points week in, week out, even if he does go on your bench. One thought here is, the possibility of going with, Aguero and Jesus up front. You could even go with both of them. Maybe they both play, maybe they both get goals. That has happened this season. Or you could go with Aguero, go with the captain on him, stick a vice captain on Salah. If Aguero plays and he scores, then you get those points. If he does not play, then you figure the captainship's going to go on Salah. You just have to make sure that you do have a solid bench that is going to be starting, which is kind of where I'm at with the whole Firmino Ward thing. I might try to tough it out with Ward, see if I can get through this weekend. But I'm thinking that I'm going to take probably a -4 this week. I have 2 free transfers. That means that I can drop Kane, Carroll, and then take a hit for Firmino. And then that'll leave me whether or not I want to drop Richarlison for this week or hold out. They play Brighton away. Chance for a clean sheet for Watford, but I mean, who knows the way they've been playing with all of their red cards. And Richarlison has been scoring goals on the road, so I might hang on to him and then drop him in game week 20 here, where Watford is at home to Leicester. That's a tough one. West Ham have Bournemouth away, so that might be where I actually move Lanzini in there. So another possibility would be to bring Pogba into the midfield. So that could be an option here if I have enough funds. I probably will have enough funds. Um, Depending on who I bring in my defense, I have been considering doing Alonso just because of how well he has been playing this season, the points that he has been picking up. Again, second scoring in defenders. So yeah, definitely have some things to think about. I'll probably move on. Well, I'll definitely move on my transfers this afternoon and um, get my team set there. Sorry I couldn't go into more this week, but uh, yeah, I'm not really sure yet if I'll be able to do a Boxing Day Game Week 20 tips video or not. It all depends on how things go around Christmas and whether or not I'll have the time to really go into that. So again, I apologize for kind of the brief one here.